matter to me. Without you, there's no focus, you're a lens to me. I be slurred, I be all off beat. Look at the flick of my wrist, look at the shoes on my feet. Don't mean nothing if you ain't the one that I'm waking up to in the morning. Kissing and loving and touching and keeping me moaning. Love smoke when I'm busy. You the only one I've been with. Stuck on my mind, fucking you all of the time. All I need is a shot and a reload. I be home all alone, but we still go. When I'm out on the road, I hold on to my pillow. We go back and forth, the shit go. One down the bottom. When I make it pop, I'm so empty the bottle. When I'm out on the road, hold on to my pillow. We go back and forth for hours. You might think it's crazy, but that's just the way that it is. When you on the grind and ain't got enough time for your man, good love it. Quick fix in the bathroom does it. FaceTime for a minute, let you judge it. You the only one to get it in the back of the limousine. I'm so calm, let them see I don't care.
It's Malik, it's your boy Malik. I'm back with another video today. What I got right here, like I said, it's 2019 Ford Fusion. Now, I'm gonna get extremely personal with this car. Why? Because it's mine. Yes, I got rid of the Mustang, and you can just look at the way this color is popping. Like, it looks like it's, I don't know, it looks like it's a shiny, extremely shiny gray is what it is. The color is known as magnetic gray. That's what Ford calls that color. Let me tell you something, this car did not look anything like this when I first bought it. Now, I've had it for going on April, May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. It's been a couple months that I've had this car. Let me tell you something, the window tint really sets it off for this car. This car looked nothing like this without the window tint. You can tell it's mine because it is extremely personalized. There goes a Nissan Nismo right there, but that's not important. This is the Fusion Ecoboost. Now, the Fusion comes with, I believe, 4 engine choices. There's this one that I got here. It's the 1.5 liter turbocharged EcoBoost 4-cylinder. Now, Ford knows how to do things with a 4-cylinder and a turbocharger, or an engine and a turbocharger, period, for that matter, that not many manufacturers out here can do. Even though this car is a little bitty 1.5 liter turbo, now it ain't got a lot of horsepower. Now, when you turbocharge a car, you are always going to have more torque than horsepower. And it is always going to kick almost instantly, depending on how the vehicle is tuned. But for this vehicle in particular, it's a turbocharger that's meant to do one thing. It's an engine that's meant to do one thing. It is meant to move this car. I mean, when you punch this car to the floor, you're not going to be flying past people like you would in the 4-cylinder Mustang. Now, if you want to do that, you would have to step up to the 2.0. So that's the next option. There's a 2.0, which is the direct engine out of the Ford Focus ST. And I believe they use that same engine in, I think the Taurus used it too. The Taurus has been discontinued. But that 2.0, now that's a 252 horsepower turbocharged 4-cylinder. I mean, it came straight out the Ford Focus ST. So it's going to kick. And when you have something like that on a front-wheel drive car, you know, whether it's a Focus, a Taurus, a Escape, a Fusion, when you punch it, you're going to get that torque steer. So when you punch that thing to the floor, your steering wheel is going to veer off to whichever side of the road is, like, let's say the road leans a little bit that way. You punch it, the vehicle's going to steer that way. And I'm going to talk a little bit about this car. Now, this car right now, it's kind of hard to see because of how much light is outside, but it does have those kind of under eyebrow, you know, daytime running lights. You've probably seen various Fusion models where the daytime running lights are not on the bottom, rather, but they're across the top. So they're actually an eyebrow instead of a baggy eye, you know, under the eye. Now, these are not LEDs. These are not LEDs. the turn signals are not LEDs. So you have your regular headlight, which they're projector HIDs. They're bright as crap. Then you have your high beams, and then you have your turn signals, and then you have your fog lights. Now, I will say, one of the things that does bother me about this car is the fact that the dang headlights and the fog lights and the high beams are not all the same color. So that's one of the things that like really bothers me, because I cannot stand when a car has LED daytime running lights and does not have LED. You know, it's that 6K. You know how some cars, you look at them, they have that bright blue hue to them. Well, this car has that bright blue hue on the daytime running lights, but then them headlights come on and you see that flat white, you know, like you flip the light switch on in your house, it's that incandescent. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's not incandescent, but it's that color. It's not yellow, but it's not blue, it's just white. But still, when you have something like this, eventually my headlights will cut themselves on in a minute because they're on automatic headlights. You'll be able to see what I'm talking about. But what does happen when the headlights do come on, it actually dims down the daytime running lights. Now, another thing, speaking of headlights, this car has automatic high beams. I will talk about how that's activated, but basically, if you look right there at the top, right here, there is a sensor, like a light sensor and a camera right there. So it's like these devices serve multiple, they serve multiple, what's the word? They have multiple purposes, is what they do. One of them is a rain sensor for the automatic rain sensing wipers, and then one of them is a light sensor, but somewhere in there, there's a forward collision sensor too, and a lane departure sensor. So I will say that this car literally is watching the road for you the entire time that you are driving. As long as you have those devices and features enabled, this car is watching the road for you. I'm not gonna say it's uncrashable, but if you tried to crash it, it wouldn't let you crash it. I mean, that's just what it is. Like if you're at a stoplight, all of these devices are activated once you hit about 3 miles an hour. So if you floored it at a stoplight and there was a car in front of you, the instant you floor it, it is going to slam on the brakes and it's gonna pop up a warning right here. So that right there is not a heads-up display. That is a red light for your forward collision prevention right there. So let's say, you know, the front end of my car is right here. I have a car right here. If I punch it, that car is going to react. This car is going to react so fast, I'm not even going to have time to take my foot off the gas, and the brake pedal is going to be done sunk down under my foot. That's what I mean by when I say this car is going to keep you out of trouble, and it's going to protect your teenagers and all that stuff when you first buy them a car. This is not a cheap car, but it's not an expensive car. This car retailed for about 24, 25, 26. By the time you finish signing all the papers, it's going to be a $30,000 car, 28, 29, $30,000 car. And depending on how the taxes are, you might drive off the lot at 32. Or if you had a trade-in with negative equity or something like that, you're gonna drive off the lot without about, you know, anywhere from 30 to 34,000. Now, if you step up to the SE, I mean not the SE, the Titanium, you can get all-wheel drive and you can get that 2.0. So that 2.0, I'm gonna tell you something. That 2.0, it's gonna scat, because this thing right here, from a takeoff, it scats. It ain't got a whole lot of horsepower to keep it scatting, but when you floor it, I mean, it's going to jerk your neck. Like if let's say you take off slow and it goes to second gear. Well, if you floor it and it drops back down to first, if you're holding a drink, you're gonna spill that drink. I mean, you're gonna spill that drink. It ain't gonna shoot in front of you like a dang, you know, it's not gonna shoot in front of everybody else in traffic like a Scat Pack or like a Mustang Ecoboost or something like that. But it's definitely gonna make the jump. Now, how far you jump, I don't really know. I can't really tell you, but it's got some get up and go for what it is. As you can see, it does come with the black wheels. So this is the SE appearance package. The SE appearance package gives you those black wheels, and they are glossy black. And you also can get that rear spoiler on the back too. So, and as you can see, we still got that. We got the shark fin. We got that shark fin. That's for the Sirius XM and your radio. This car does not have antennas or anything like that. Like I said, if you get this car in this color, I highly encourage you to get window tint on it, because it does not look anything like this without window tint. I'm not gonna tell you my percentage, but it ain't legal. That's just all you need to know. Now, I'm gonna turn the car off so we can see something that this car has that my Mustang did not have. Neither one of the Mustangs I did a video on has this feature. It has the ability, it's got the global windows on it. You can let them down, but you couldn't let them back up. So, speaking of which, here's the key for it right here. So the key looks different. Now, this is the key design Ford has got going on with just about all their cars. Now, even the Mustangs come with this. Do not panic. You do not see a remote start button on here. Let me tell you something. Just about every car you buy from Ford that was manufactured 2018 or later comes with the ability to start it if it has Ford Pass on it. So you may buy a car and they may not tell you at the dealership that you can still remote start this car, but if it's got a modem on it and it has Ford Pass on it, Ford Pass Connect or something like that, you can remote start it from your phone, which if you ask me, being able to start my car from anywhere in the world, unlock it, lock it, let's just say for instance, your child or your daughter or your wife or your husband locks their keys in the car, but they also lock themselves out of the house. Okay, well, if you have Ford Pass linked on that phone, well, let's say they have their phone that they did not lock anywhere. Well, all you gotta do is call your somebody who's got it on them, or you can probably give them a login or stuff like that. You can log in and unlock this car from anywhere in the world. So let's just say I'm in my house, or let's just say I'm in my house and somebody's driving my car 6 hours away. Let's say I loaned my car out to somebody. Well, if they call me and say, hey, I locked the keys in the car, can you unlock it? All you got to do is go to that Ford Pass app and unlock it. It's just one of those things. Also, speaking of being able to do that, you can basically set this car up to be an alarm clock. You know how you go on your iPhone and you can like swipe on or swipe off an alarm? Well, you can set this car up to do scheduled starts. So if you get up consistently at the same time every day and you stick to a schedule where I've got to leave my house at this time, well, you see there's no leaves on the trees right now, right? That means it's cold outside. It's pretty chilly. You're going to wake up in the morning, it's going to be about 30 degrees, 20 degrees, 10 degrees, whatever. You're going to want that car to be warm before you get in there. So instead of you having to go in and manually start it every morning at the same time, you can actually set a time for this car to start on its own, and it will stay running for 10 minutes. Now, after 10 minutes, it's going to shut off. Now, you can go in the app and add an additional 10 minutes. So when it starts, it's only going to stay running for 10 minutes. Now, you think that's not long enough for this car to warm up? Let me tell you something. This car kicks out heat within 2 minutes of you starting it. You don't even have to start driving. I don't know what it is, but I think it has a lot to do with these grill shutters. This car does have grill shutters, active grill shutters on it. Now, they are nowhere near as active as they were on that Ecoboost Mustang, but when you first start the car, they will open and close. I'm gonna demonstrate right quick. So I'm gonna go into my Ford Pass app, and the only reason I'm gonna do it on the Ford Pass app is because if I go in and start it, they're gonna be an open and close before I can even get out the car and show you. Now, the purpose of grill shutters is for two things. It's to keep the engine running hot, and I'm not talking like hot, I'm talking about like warm. These newer cars, they're designed to run a lot warmer than the older cars. They're burning, that's how you get the efficiency. If you burn every bit of gas that's going into that motor and have minute exhaust and a minute, you know how cars, they spray like raw gas out the back, like just unburned gas. I have not seen this car do this not one time. I have not seen any other Ford Fusion like this do this, because they are, any other Ford car for that matter, period. You see a lot of Chevrolets and Toyotas that they floor it, and boy, that gas just pours out the back. Like, it just pours on the ground. I have not seen that with any of these cars. So I'm gonna demonstrate right quick. I'm gonna go on my app, I'm gonna start it. The grill shutters are gonna open, or they're already open. They're gonna close and then open back up. So they're closing right now. You see that? Open back up in a second. So basically, as you're driving down the road, you won't be able to tell. It's not going to affect the car or anything, but when those grill shutters, they close, they do that when you're driving. So, it's one of those things to take into consideration, that it's also for aerodynamics too. Somehow keeping air from going under the hood and against that radiator as much as possible. It also helps with the fuel economy of the vehicle. Now, to show you what I was going to show you with the key, you have your unlock, your lock. Let's focus in on that. Your trunk 2 times, and your trunk actually pops up for you. Yeah. So it doesn't pop all the way up, but if you see I'm sitting on if I fix the camera where it doesn't like the car's on flat land, I'm actually sitting on a mountain. So the center of gravity on that trunk is going to pull it forward. Now, when I do that, if I hit the unlock button once, and then the second time I hit it, I hold it down, I can drop my windows. Now, Granted, if I wanted to let them back up, I hit it once, and the second time I hold it down. That's the lock button. It chirped twice because my trunk is open. Now, at any given time, I can stop it by hitting the exact button I just hit. So if I was going to stop it, let's say I'm gonna let them all the way back up. So let's say I wanted to let it down, but I just wanted to crack the windows. I hit the unlock button, I hold it down. Once they crack, I hit the button again. So that'll stop them. And as you can see, there's a red keypad that pops up right here. I don't even know my code. I just know that you don't have to have the key. When you first buy the car, they're gonna give you all this information. So let's say you lock it and you don't have the key on you. You walk up to that vehicle and you hit this right here and you type that code in. Let's just say you type the code in and it pops up, you know what I'm saying? It'll unlock the door for you. Now, I will say this. You have push button start on this car, but for this particular model, I do not have the ability to lock it with a key, walk up to it with the key, and grab the door handle. It does not have smart key access. So, I mean, I'm touching just all on the door handle. I'm grabbing. I mean, it ain't unlocked. The key is right here. It ain't unlocking. Let me tell you how bad that flames me. I had a Mustang that was worth about $10,000 less than this from its MSRP, and it was a 17 and it had that on it. That is one thing you are going to compromise with this car. I don't know for sure if the titanium has it, but I know this particular model doesn't have it. Let's look at these mirrors. You do have a blind spot information system. Ford calls it BLIS, B-L-I-S. You see that little indication right there? That means that any given time somebody is driving, let's just say my car is right here, okay? By the time another car gets to about that white right there, the radars and the sensors on the back of the car are going to alert that, hey, there's somebody approaching your blind spot, and it will stay that way until they pass your mirror. So by the time they get to your mirror, you should probably be seeing something in the corner of your eye. But once they pass that mirror, okay, now it's your turn. You are the one that's going to do the driving. So, you know, like once they get about right here, you ought to definitely see them. Yeah. So, and these mirrors, they do have the ability to fold in, but they are not an electronic folder. So you just, you know, pop it like that. Now let's get in the car. I'm gonna let the windows back up. Hold it down. All right, now we're gonna get in the vehicle. So, you enter the vehicle. It's chirping at me. I'm gonna tell you why it's chirping at me in a minute. As you can see on the door panels, we got all this little fancy soft touch materials and two-tones, and this is, I mean, I'm gonna wait till this car finishes interrupting me before I continue talking. Anyway, two-tone, or really this is kind of like, this is the same material that the seats are made of. Same color, and it's the same throughout the entire car. Okay, I know why it's doing that. Okay, I'll tell you about that in a second too. You do not get an actual mechanical lock. You get an indication that the door is locked. So when it's locked, that will light up red. If you look on the inside of this particular model, this is the two-tone, you know, kind of beige. It's leather everywhere your butt's not touching. So this is actually kind of like a suede cloth, and then this is leather. So it's the same way on the doors. It's the same color tone throughout the entire inside of the vehicle. As you can see, the inside of this vehicle is pretty darn nice. I mean, for a $25,000 car, this car looks like something that you would buy on like a Lincoln or a Lexus or something like that on the inside, especially when it's in the sunlight. You actually do get speakers right here, your door locks, your door handle, and all your little controls right here. There's another speaker right there. I'm gonna get inside now. Oh my Jesus. So now it greets you once it senses the key is on you, and sometimes it will light up the Ford logo right here too. Basically just about every Ford that has this same steering wheel is going to operate the same exact way. So with that being said, you have, let me start the car. So to start this car, you put your foot on the brake and you hit the button to start. When you do that, you are going to be greeted with the Ford logo and the famous doo-doo-doo chime. Turn the air down so you can hear me. Turn it down. I'm gonna start with this side right here, the left side. So this is gonna control this screen in front of you. And then the buttons on this side are going to control this screen in front of you. So there's not a lot going on here, to be honest. I'm going to try to run through this as quick as I can. Control your display on the left. So as you can see right there, it's going to pop up like display mode or something like that. You're going to hit you can press OK, or you can actually press the right button. So you hit that right button, you get your tachometer. Now to change that, you can go up to your miles to empty, up again to your miles per hour. You can actually press OK for kilometers an hour. So as you can see right there, I hit the OK button for kilometers an hour. And I'm going to hit it again because we're miles an hour around here. And then your tire pressure gauge, and then back to your tachometer. Now, as you can see, you do actually have the ability to see your engine coolant temperature off to the very right. And then your fuel. And then if you see those two lanes right there, that's what I was talking about when I said this vehicle has that lane departure warning and lane departure assist. I'll get into how you can actually modify all that stuff here in a moment. I'm going to go back to the left. So I'm going to hit my finger to the left. And now I'm going to go down. So that's trip 1 and 2. That's going to be my average miles per gallon. I do have a heavy foot, and I will say that even when you beat on this car, it's hard to get it below 20 miles to the gallon. I mean, it's a 4-cylinder and all, but if you wanted to get gas like a V8, you can get it as close to it as you can. I mean, this is a 4-cylinder that puts out horsepower that 6 cylinders from about 10 years ago, 10 years ago we're putting out. In some cases, this car is putting out more horsepower. This car puts out the same amount of horsepower and torque as my red Mustang, and that car is almost 20 years old. That just goes to show how much we've evolved over the past, 10, 15 years. I'm going to go up again. That's my trip 1. So, I will say that it gets to a point where the engine is so small that you're actually going to have to dig your foot into the accelerator to make it do anything. My Mustang actually did get better gas mileage than this car. Now, not at highway speeds, but in the city, yes, it did, because I didn't have to push it so hard. I'm going to hit fuel economy. That's my average fuel economy. I think I can go up, engine on, normal operation. There's not a lot going on there. Driver assist. Now, this is where it gets interesting. Ford has 2 things that they call traction control. There's traction control, and then there's advanced track. Just because you uncheck the box for traction control and you get that light that says traction control off, so traction control on, traction control off, you have not turned off traction control. I mean, this is a darn sedan. It's a family car. You're not going to be fooling around in this car like this. I don't think you can actually disable the advanced track system in this car. It's going to let you slip the tires just a little bit, but then it's going to kick back in. I'm just here to tell you, it's not going to let you have fun like you want to. It's a Fusion. Blind spot. That's what I was talking about on those mirrors right there. So they're not active. It's not active when you're sitting still. You have to be, like I said, you got to be going at least 3 to 5 miles an hour for all that stuff to be active. You can turn that on and off. So I just turned it off, and when you do that, it flashes at you. So when I turn it back on, it powers back up on both mirrors. You actually see both mirrors flash. So I can turn it back off, and it does flash at you. When you first start the car, they flash at you. Everything powers up when you turn the car on. So I'm going to turn it back off. When I turn it back on, that bar pops up, the blind spot light pops up. So all that stuff pops up for you. I'm going to go back in and turn that back on because I do actually like having that on. Your cross traffic alert, again, that's using, when you turn that cross traffic alert on and off, it is using the blind spot. So when you put the vehicle in reverse, it is using the blind spot, the sensors, it's using all that stuff, the backup sensor, all that stuff. So basically, if you're backing out of a parking spot, cross traffic alert is, let's say a car is coming down the aisle that you're backing out of in that parking spot, and you don't see it, but the car does. Well, whichever side that car is coming on, it's going to flash the light, and it's going to beep and say, it's actually going to tell you on this exact screen, vehicle coming from left or vehicle coming from right. And that same sensor system also works when you are backing straight up and you're backing up against like a wall or another car. You're trying to parallel park or something like that, and there's another car. It will actually beep, but it doesn't beep right there. It beeps on this screen. So when you put it in reverse, put your foot on the brake and you turn the dial. Yes, this vehicle does have a dial shifter. This right here is what's going to be, it's green, yellow, and then red. When it's red, it'll outline the entire vehicle in the color red and say, hey, you're just close enough to where you're about to start something you might not want to finish. And also there's lines right here where when you turn the wheel, the lines also turn. So it gives you a prediction of where you're about to end up. Put the vehicle back in park. And when, like I said, I just put it in reverse, and you will actually see rear park aid on. You can turn that off. I don't know why you would, though. I mean, it's just, it's one of those features that's there to help you. I mean, 10 years ago, 5 years ago, these are features that you would have had to pay $40,000 or $50,000 to get on a car. Let's just be honest. So Ford is putting that type of stuff on lower, not lower end, but lower priced vehicles. Your driver alert system. That's one of the other things that's kind of important too. I'm gonna try to zoom in and focus on that right quick. Your driver alert, that is, you can turn it off and you can turn it on. Basically, if it senses that you are veering off out of your lane too much and you're swerving and you're braking short, it's going to pop up a cup of coffee with steam coming out of it, tell you that rest is suggested. I mean, it's, oh, my automatic headlights just came on. Your lane keeping system. Now, you can have that set up to do just alert you, or to aid only, or to do both. I think you need to have it set on both. When you get this car, I think it's going to say alert only or aid only. I can't remember, but I had to go in and put it to both. Basically, if you're drifting out of your lane, you don't want it to just, if you have it on just alert only, it just vibrates the wheel the opposite of where you're veering. So if you're veering off to the right, it vibrates the wheel and kind of knocks it to the left, but it doesn't necessarily steer it for you. But if you have it on both, it will actually steer the wheel back into the lane. But if you drift too far out the lane, it vibrates the wheel, you know, and then it steers you back. Intensity, you can turn the intensity up or balance it out or have it turned down low. I've got it on high. The reason I say you need to have it on high is merely because, okay, if it's on low, well, if you're about to drive off a bridge and it decides to help you, I'd rather it not let me even get out of the lane to drive off the bridge. You know what I'm saying? That type of stuff like that. Your pre-collision. This vehicle does have pre-collision on it. That's what does Ford call that? I'm trying to think. Most people call it collision mitigation, but it's one of those things that's going to get you an insurance on your discount. I know I said that backwards. It's going to get you a discount on your insurance, because when I typed the VIN number of this car in on my insurance, it popped up in there. Does this vehicle have pre-collision assist or automatic emergency braking? You would want to select yes. That's going to get you a discount. Even if it's just $30 off a month, that's a lot of money to save in a year or over the course of 6 months. Again, you can turn that sensitivity up or down, and you do want to check the box for active braking. Like I said, when you first get this car, you're going to want to go through all that stuff before you drive it off the lot, because it's good to have a car that helps you drive. Not drives for you, but helps you drive. Again, there goes that rear park aid. And then, I think that's it for driver assist. And then your settings. Woo! Oh! Dang! God, boy, I felt that brake pedal sink down, and it grabbed, son. Your settings, so you can go in. Your auto engine off. Basically, what that is if you look right here, you see there's that checkbox with an A and a slash through it and a circle around it. That is not your auto start stop. This is your auto start stop. Your auto engine off is if you leave this car running for 30 minutes or 20 minutes and you have not moved, touched the gas, or touched the brake, it's going to turn the car off for you, so you don't sit there and just burn gas for no reason. Your lighting. Automatic high beams. That's another thing I was talking about. So, you know how most people, they like to hang like tags and stuff above their mirror and stuff like that, where if you have to have a parking pass for something like that, you're going to have to find somewhere else to put it, because it's best that you put it somewhere on the dashboard, because this right here, this box behind your mirror is all that stuff that you need, that this car needs to do the pre-collision, the rain sensing wipers, the automatic high beams, the lane departure warning, and all that stuff. It's all in this little box right here, and it is watching the road for you as you drive. Your auto high beam. So basically, I do have that on. If it's not dark outside, so it ain't gonna come on. But once it senses that there's darkness outside to a reasonable amount, and the sun's done went down, you're driving on a road. It doesn't matter what road you're driving on, but if the road is not well lit, it will flip them high beams on. But what happens is, the instant it senses a car coming towards you, or if you're driving behind a car, your high beam is gonna cut off. and it's just gonna run your regular beams. Mind you, when you cut your high beams on, your fog lights go away. So you see the high beams on, the fog lights on the way, then the fog lights come back on. So you can't have your fog lights on. I've never understood that. Ford is the only manufacturer I know that does that. That is one con of a lot of these Fords. I love Ford to death, but your fog lights, if you ask me, fog lights don't necessarily help with fog. They help when you're making a turn and you can't see if there's like a curb or a drop off. That's what I like fog lights for. I mean, that's just what it is. Your auto lamp delay, that's basically if you're driving under bridges and stuff, you don't want your headlights to be going on about a light show because you're going to get a ticket for flashing your lights. Yes, you can get a ticket for flashing lights. You want it to delay a couple seconds. You can actually go 10, 20, or 120. You don't want it to go 120 because that's kind of pushing it. Go back and your daytime lights. That's that little eyebrow looking strip I was talking about on my headlights. You can turn that off. I don't know why you would. It makes the car look more expensive than it is. I prefer to leave that on. Your locks, don't mess with that. That's your auto unlock, your mislock, your remote unlock. You can change that. Now, when you first get this car, it might be on all doors. I suggest you go put it on driver's door. So when you hit the unlock button once, it only unlocks the driver's door. With all this sex trafficking and stuff going on and people getting kidnapped and people jumping in cars, I suggest you select that to driver's door. If you hit it twice, then it unlocks all the doors. But if somebody's on the other side of your car chasing after you or trying to get in your car, if you unlock every door in this car and they hop in the car with you, don't say I didn't try to tell you. I tried to tell you, you didn't listen, and now you got somebody in your car pointing a gun at your head. Just be careful. Oil life reset. Again, there goes that oil life sensor that both those Mustangs did in fact have. Again, I'm going to reiterate, do not depend on the vehicle's oil life sensor to tell you when to change your oil. You are to change your oil every 3,000 to 5,000 miles, and if you don't, things go boom, boom. That's just that. Your remote start. Now, I prefer to leave my climate control on automatic because with the weather we have down here in the lovely South Alabama, Anderson, Oxford, Jacksonville, Alabama, period. It's 70 degrees one day, and then the next day it's 30 degrees. If it was 80, or let's just say this, it's 80 degrees one day, and then 20 degrees the next day, literally. So if you have it on last setting, and you had it blasting the AC on as cold as it can go, and when you remote start your car, it blasts the AC on as cold as it can go, you're going to get in that car and be worse than you were if you would have just left the car off. So you want it to be on automatic. It's using the sensors on the outside of the car and the weather. As you can see, it does tell you what the weather is right there to determine where it needs to put the heat at. It will also automatically turn on the rear defrost when it's cold outside. So it's good to remote start your car, not just to warm the engine up, but so you don't have to be stuck there running late for work because you didn't defrost your car, and you don't have to plow into the back of somebody or run off the road because you couldn't see because there's ice on the road. The duration is, like I said, 10 minutes. I'm going to up it to 15 just for the heck of it. Your system, I don't really know what that is. And then your windows, so you can remote open and remote close. That's the global windows. And your wipers, they're courtesy wipe and then rain sensing. I definitely leave that on. The courtesy wipe is you can be rain. I need to turn my rain sensing wipers back on. So I'm going to flip my wipers on right now. They will come on, but once they sense that there's no rain, that's the position they're in when they're ready. You see how it's kind of up on the dash? But it's sensing that there's no rain, and in a second they're going to drop back down. So they're actually on intermittent right now. You know how you can set it to come on every 5 seconds or if it's a light rain? Basically, you want to leave it on intermittent. Why? Because it's going to do all that for you. It's sensing, and it is extremely reasonable too. So watch in a second, they're going to drop back down. Basically, the harder it rains and the harder you're driving towards the rain, the faster they just drop back down. The faster these wipers are going to go. I strongly suggest you leave it on intermittent because that's one less thing you have to think about while you're driving is controlling wipers. I mean, it's not hard to do, but like I said, again, a car that does things that a more expensive car would do at a much less or half the price, I would turn every dang feature this car has on and not let it take over driving for you, but utilize those features Ford gave you. And then I think that's it for that side. That's completely it for that side. I usually leave mine on the trip computer. Wrong one. I usually leave mine on the trip computer. Now off to the right, or you got your speedometer. And speaking of the auto start stop with that little circle, you can disable that. And I do leave mine disabled. So when you push that button right here, it will say auto start stop deactivated by switch. I'm gonna give my opinion on the auto start stop in a minute. It's not a hybrid car. This is not a Ford Fusion hybrid. Therefore, when the engine shuts off, your AC shuts off and your indoor fan shuts down. And with a car that's gasoline powered and was not designed for that, you know, those hybrids, they're designed to turn off when you come to a stop. You know, they can keep running the AC and the AC is not affected. I'm not talking about the fan. I'm talking about the actual compressor under the hood. Hybrid cars, they have a different type of compression. I don't know how they do it, but they can literally sit there and run the AC on a battery for I don't know how long. And it will actually be removing heat from the inside of the car. I don't know how it does it. But this car, well, you're turning a clutched compressor. So as soon as that motor turns off, that engine turns off, your AC is going bye-bye until that engine comes back on. And then as soon as you take your foot off the brake, the engine fires back up. I don't like that because when you come to a stop, if there's not an electric motor that can get you out of a situation that could be life-threatening, like say you stop at a stoplight and somebody is just not paying attention to the road and they're about to take the back end of your car off. Well, the time it takes that engine to stop and get back in gear and engage and all that stuff, you gonna be plowed in the back. That's just what it is. I prefer to just every time, and you do have to disable it every time you get in the car. You have to. I wish there was a way you can just turn it off for good, but you cannot. But off to the right, you've got your, I guess that's like another entertainment screen right there. So I usually leave mine on compass. But if you hit the left button, you can go entertainment, and it will show you what song's playing and then your phone and all that stuff. Not a lot going on that side right there. And you have your gear indication and then your brake. Now, let's talk about that. Most people are used to the brake being like right here or actually having to pull a handle. No, this car has an electronic parking brake. So you can't just push the button. You actually have to press the brake to release that. You have to press the brake and then release the switch. So I put my foot on the brake and listen. Let the window down so you can hear it. Put it back on. You see that right there? You see what they just did? They did not put their brake on and their vehicle just bounced like crazy. Let me tell you something. Anytime you are parked, I don't care if you're on flat land, I don't care if you are on whatever. When you park your car, please engage the brake. And there's a specific way you have to do it. Engage the brake before, what in the tarnation is going on? Anyway, engage the brake before you just let your foot off the brake. So you know how when you put a car in park and it bounces back and forth like this giant GMC Suburban right or Yukon right here? Yeah, when a vehicle that big, if you put it in park without putting that brake on, that thing's gonna bounce and almost break its dang transmission. I'm just here to tell you, I can't stand that. That is one of my biggest pet peeves. Do not get me started on that. I actually, on this very mountain, witnessed somebody drive off the mountain because they busted their parking brake. Let me tell you something. When you put it in park, it's not a brake, it's a transmission lock. That lock can break, snap, slip, whatever, in any given time. Doesn't matter how small of a car you have. Y'all don't realize how much cars weigh. Even something so small as a Fusion or a Fiesta can snap its transmission like that. So I highly suggest that. What in the world? Out here in 65-degree weather with track shorts on. I ain't judging. I'm just looking. But anyway, you put your foot on the brake. You engage the parking brake first, and then you put it in P. You don't want to put it in P and then let your foot off the brake and then put the parking brake on. You're already resting on the transmission. So listen at this. See, they might drive away, but you hear that? You hear that? So when they took it out of gear, you heard that jolt like that? That is one of the most, I mean, that just doesn't sound like it's good for the car. I don't know why people do stuff like that. But if you look right here, my audio is off. So there is more to do with the screen than there is buttons on this car. So as you can see, I kind of upgraded, but I kind of downgraded when I changed cars. Now, I downgraded just simply due to the fact that it's not a stick and it doesn't have any horsepower and torque. I dropped about 300 horsepower and about 300 pound-feet of torque when I got this car. Well, I'll say about 200. I ain't going to exaggerate. But anyway, so I'm looking at this now because I don't have it paired to my phone right now. When you touch this screen, you're going to get the option to go all these little presets right here. And then you can tune and then go to sources and hit FM or this car comes with Sirius XM. So when you buy the car, it's going to come with Sirius XM for, I want to say, 3 months or something like that. It also comes with an in-car Wi-Fi free trial. This car has Wi-Fi. When I tell you you're driving a computer, you are driving a computer. This car has Wi-Fi through AT&T. Now, let me tell you something. That's not a real smart thing to do because you're already paying for a cell phone plan. you're gonna add an additional $25 to another bill. So you're gonna be paying $25 just to add your car to the Wi-Fi. You don't need to have Wi-Fi while you're driving down the road, because the Wi-Fi is gonna be just as fast as your LTE data. That's just me. I mean, if you want fast Wi-Fi, then you're gonna have to figure out how to wire your car up to a cable company while you're driving down the road. So if you want it to be reasonably fast. Anyway, and then you can also, yeah, that too. I'll get to that in a second. You can also pair it to your phone. So your phone is going to be right there. And also, this car does have Apple CarPlay. Now, I have had to wirelessly charge my phone for a few months because my charging port has been messed up, so I can't really show you the Apple CarPlay. But basically, this car, you actually do have to plug it into your phone. It's not over Bluetooth. So you actually have to plug your phone's charging cable into one of these Bluetooth lit up blue ports down here, and then plug your phone in the charge, and then it completely interfaces this whole screen right here. Look at that Ford Fusion. Anyway, you have to, what was I talking about? Apple CarPlay. You have to pair, you have to plug it in. Basically, a lot of cars can do it over Bluetooth, but I mean, just the simple fact that you have Apple CarPlay, period, that's a good thing. I don't use it because I don't really care for it. I mean, I don't want to have my phone on my screen that much. I mean, yes, it reads text messages. If somebody texts you, it'll pop up on the screen whether it's plugged in or not, and it will, you can select hear message. But if you have Apple CarPlay plugged in, you can actually reply to that message using the command system. So you can hit hear or reply, and then you can speak your message and then reply to somebody. It's pretty neat. Your climate control, you can control it through the screen, or you can control it using these buttons down here. I usually just use the button because it's easier to just tap the button than it is to you know, go from audio to, you actually do have to take your eyes off the road, so to go to select that. And yes, you can do that while you're driving. There's a lot of things that you can't do while the vehicle is in motion. So again, you hit that 3 to 5 mile an hour mark, stuff gets locked out. So, you know, don't think that you're gonna be fiddling around with this screen, changing the audio settings and stuff like that while you're driving. Go to your phone, recent call list, contacts, and this is the exact same across all the Ford models, like the Edge, the Escape, the Fusion, what else? The Explorer. Well, I think the Explorer is the same. Now for 2020, they did change this up a little bit. You know, it's got that actual tablet screen on it. So if you have a 2020 Explorer, I can't say it applies to you. But if you have a 19, I can say it does apply to you. But again, my phone, iPhones said you. Anyway, I don't have my phone connected right now because I don't want to be interrupted while I'm doing this. But you can find mobile apps. So if you have it plugged in, you're gonna have messages, your phone, all that stuff right here when you plug it in. Your settings, you can go to sound, you can change like the bass, the treble, and I do need to turn that up a little bit because I like to hear that little boom, 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 you know what I'm saying? Hello. And another thing this car has, it has speed compensated volume. You're gonna want that to be on medium. What does that mean? That means that the faster you drive, it automatically adjusts the volume to keep it at, because you know when you're driving, you're gonna have road noise. It's not going to sound as loud even with the windows up, but that speed compensated volume, and when you slow down, it turns the volume down. It doesn't turn it down to the point where it's like you can't hear it. It just turns it down to where it's not like just blasting in your ear, because when you stop, you're not as focused on the road anymore. You can actually focus. It's something how your brain works. Your brain focuses on something like that. Again, Sirius XM, mobile apps, Ford Pass. Again, there goes that vehicle hotspot. So, you know, if you want to have it on there, you can. I mean, this car literally, as you can see right there, it's got its own Wi-Fi hotspot. So, you know, that's one of those things. Of course, you would have to, it's going to tell you how to, once you get into setting that stuff up. I had set it up, but I canceled it because I'm like, I don't need it. I don't need my Wi-Fi. I mean, why would I pay an additional bill just to have Wi-Fi driving down the road when I'm going to have cellular data driving down the road anyway? It's not something I would use if I were you. 911 assist. If you get into an accident and the airbags deploy, it's calling the police for you. You don't even have to do anything. Valet mode. Valet mode is if somebody is parking your car, you can go in there and you got a pin and all that stuff. And once you put that stuff in, they can only go so fast, only use the volume so loud and all that stuff. Vehicle. You know, door keypad, camera settings. Now, there goes that onboard modem right there. So when you select that Ford Pass, you're going to have to go through all this stuff to set it up. Your door keypad code. Now, you can go in and change that. I don't want to change it, you have to enter the original code first. Now, what the camera settings is your enhanced park aid, that's on, and your rear camera delay. Basically, if I'm in reverse, even when I'm driving forward, my camera will still be on until, once again, I hit about 10 miles an hour. Now, that it is 10 miles an hour. So your camera will stay on until you hit 10 miles an hour. There's some more things on here that I have to find. It's MyKey. I can't think. Oh yeah, MyKey. I'm gonna go to settings. MyKey. There we go. Basically, what MyKey is, you know how on the Charger and Challenger Hellcat they give you multiple keys and they're red or black. Basically, what that means is, depending on which key you hand somebody, let's say that you use your car and your teenager also uses your car. Some indicate somehow or another you have your keys marked to where the key that you use is yours, but the key that they use limits a lot of things. So if you go in and you set up MyKey, there's 2 administrator keys. So your key, as the person who's probably paying for that car, you're the administrator. So basically, if you create a MyKey, the key that you have on you right now is the one that you can create a MyKey to. So if you hit OK, place key in backup slot. I don't know what that means. Anyway, there's a way that, there's a way that you can like limit the top speed of the car, limit the volume and stuff like that. It's safety features. That's just one of those things. So again, this is a car that you can do stuff like that with. So it does limit the top speed. Now I think it also gives like location. I mean, dude, when you got the 4Pass app, you can see the location of the vehicle. I'm sure it sends you a text message if the person driving your car goes over a certain speed. I haven't gotten detail with it, but I mean, from what I've understood about the advertisement, stuff like that, you do have the ability to make this car a teenager-oriented car to keep them out of trouble. So, they'll be going over the speed limit and you'll know before they even tell you. They'll get a ticket and you'll know before they even tell you, stuff like that. But now I'm going to talk about how this car kind of drives. I mean, basically your climate control and all that stuff is down here, and your CD player, where the world is it? This car does not have a CD player. I just realized that. Oh my gosh, this car does not have a CD. Look, let me tell y'all something. The day and ages of CD players is long gone. I don't know why I thought this car had a CD player. I thought it was right here. I could have swore I was looking at it, but apparently it is not. You do have dual zone climate control too, so the passenger can have their temperature set differently than the driver. So, up, down on this side. And all you have to do to resync it back up is hit the dual button, and it goes right back up. All right, so I do have my light on in here because the light outside is vastly depreciating, and I do have tinted windows. You do get that famous no seatbelt warning for both the driver and the passenger. So if you don't put your seatbelt on, it's going to bother you the entire time you're driving. So yeah, I'm going to put this vehicle in drive, release the brake. I'm going to get a few shots of me driving up this hill. So before I do that, before I talk about how it drives, I'm going to do that right quick. I'm going to go up this hill first, though. And yes, I'm going up a mountain. When you get to that 10 miles an hour, you heard that click, the door is just locked. I mean, we're doing 60 miles an hour up a mountain that's greater than a 10% incline. This vehicle is very, very different if you're coming from a sports car. Now, I know I'm going to say this in terms of my situation. Life happens. You have to grow up. You have to make decisions that are better for you, not what you want to do. In this instance, I bought this car to keep myself out of trouble because I was getting in a lot of trouble with that Mustang. I mean, sometimes we do things before it's the right time, or we try to jump in front of what God has for us, and we will see it later. I mean, what I mean by that is, okay, you're young, I'm young. I like fast cars. I've always been obsessed with cars. It has always been something special to me. I'm going down this mountain now. I'm not gonna ride my brakes. down this hill. So I'm on engine brake. But, you know, you can be mature on one side and immature on the other side. You know, I will say I did use to speed, but when you're young with a car like that silver Mustang, you see how this car's paint gleamed and stands out. This Fusion right here stands out. This Fusion stands out the same way as that Mustang did, but the difference is a cop is not going to look at a Ford Fusion the same way he's going to look at a Mustang. I can drive past a cop on the side of the road doing 10, 15 over, and he ain't going to look at me. Fusion, Camry, Explorer, something like that, Escape, Taurus, they're not going to look at you like that. Now, you drive past them doing 5 or 10 over in a Mustang, they're going to tailgate you until you do something wrong. They're going to wait for you to do something wrong. They're going to find something wrong. Window tint, loud exhaust, headlights are too bright. I have been ticketed for all those things before. I have been harassed for all that stuff before. You don't have to be speeding, but it gets to a point where they will continuously pull you over and check you out until it makes you mad enough to say something to them. And it's like, you want them to leave you alone. And it gets to a point where it's like, it's not worth it. It is not worth every time you pull out of your driveway within 10 minutes of driving, you've got 2 cop cars behind you. And the crazy thing is, I had a city cop pull me over and a state cop that had pulled me over a couple weeks before came from, I don't know where he came from, but he was across town. And he came to the scene. My car ended up getting towed. He had no reason to pull me over. I had just pulled out of a parking spot in a Walmart parking lot. The instant I pulled out that parking spot, this cop comes flying across the parking lot. And I mean, he pulls me over and tries to tell me I'm driving recklessly in the parking lot. Now, mind you, that was about the 3rd time I had been pulled over in less than 2 weeks. So yes, it definitely made me upset. And you know, I know they say you're not supposed to argue with cops and stuff, but it's like, dude, this harassment, and I'm gonna call you out on it, man. Like, I'm not here for the bull crap. At the end of it all, my life, what can I do? What can I say? You know what I'm saying? It gets to a point where you have to make the change. You have to make a decision and sometimes it ain't even just that. It's the fact that you could be buying a house. You're about to have a baby on the way. You know, a Ford Fusion is a car that we're 20 years old, 19, 20, 21, 22 years old, 25. You know what I'm saying? It gets to a point where, you know, if you know you can't hold on to a sports car like a Mustang or something like that, you need to let go of it. I mean, you're already paying a lot more in insurance than you have to. The tag is expensive. The registration is expensive. My nose is itching. I don't know why. And then the simple fact that you can't even drive the car and enjoy it. It's not worth it. You need to put it down. As much as I love that car, I had to let it go because I got tired of being harassed. But, you know, and another thing, you have a lot of people that will envy you. And when people put their negative energy on you and on the things that you've done for yourself, that can have an effect too. So sometimes you have to completely step away. You know, we post pictures of these cars. We post videos of these cars. We blast these cars on social media. The entire time people are envying us and they're envious of you. You have to get to a point where you move in silence. You have to get to a point where, like, okay, it's time for me to make a decision. And boy, I'm gonna have to go down here because I drove off this drop off and I ain't finna dent my tires. But you have to get to a point where you have to make a decision that's best for yourself. And the reason I went with a Fusion is because of that. Like I said, I'm unrecognizable in this car. You know, aside from the fact that I got those Ruid stickers on the side of my car and the still personalized tag, again, do you know how many Ford Fusions you drive past today that you don't pay attention to versus how many Mustangs you drive past that catch your eye? Oh, it's loud. Oh, it's fast. Oh, it's shiny. Oh, it looks good. It looks like a snake. It looks like a horse. It's going to catch your eye. A Mustang is not an ordinary car. A Fusion is an ordinary car. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, sure, you can get a Fusion Sport, but it looks the exact same as a Fusion SE. It looks the exact same as a Fusion Hybrid with minor appearance adjustments. A Mustang is a highly customizable and configurable car. You can get a V6, a 4-cylinder, black, red, bright green. You can get all that stuff. The same colors that are available on a Mustang are not available on a Fusion. They're not available on an Escape. They're not available on a Taurus. And sometimes you have to go under the radar. And I highly suggest that you get yourself a Fusion. I may not like this car. I may hate making the payments on it. I may hate paying the insurance on it, even though it's $200 a month less than it was on that Mustang. So, you know, it's just one of those things. It's like, is it worth me holding on to something that's not going to benefit me? You know, it's not necessarily the car's fault, but it is. Everybody wants to say it's not the car's fault. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. Because it got to a point where I wouldn't even be pushing the car. I wouldn't be going over the speed limit. I would be followed by cops for miles for them waiting for me to do something wrong. I got this Fusion. I have not been bothered, pulled over, blue lighted, trailed, none of that since I bought this car. And that is the reason I bought it. Because, and again, when I bought it, I didn't tell anybody. I kept my mouth shut. I didn't post pictures of it. I don't joyride in this car. A Mustang is a car that you're going to want to joyride in. You're going to want to go to car meets in. A Fusion is not one of those cars. So sometimes you have to step under the radar. My nose is itching and I'm about to pull it off my face. A Mustang is one of those cars that you have to, I mean, you sometimes you got to let go of it. You know, I'm going to get back in one, but for right now, I'm gonna take this Fusion for what it is, and I'm going to enjoy it. It's not a bad car. This car has more features. At the end of the day, this Fusion has more features than that Mustang had, period. I mean, I sacrifice horsepower, torque, and the fun for something that's keeping me out of trouble, something that's keeping me out of harm's way, out of law enforcement's eyes. They have no idea I drive this unless they see me in it or unless they look me up, and that is the reason I got it. So I'm going to do a couple drive-by videos of this car. I'm going to fly up this hill. I'm going to show you that this car is not a slouch. This car will chirp its tires, and if you turn traction control off, you are asking for it. Because a front-wheel drive car, in my opinion, is more dangerous than a rear-wheel drive car. Have you ever tried to turn your car one way with your foot to the floor, or you're in a situation where the road's wet in a front-wheel drive car and you blip the throttle just a little bit and that vehicle goes the opposite of the direction you wanted it to go, but you're steering it this way and it's going that way? That's a front-wheel drive car for you. Torque steer is what it's called. So here we go. So yeah, at nighttime, this is what this Fusion looks like. It's a dang nice car, and the longer I've had it, the more I'm falling in love with it because, like I said, it's practicality and it's trunk space, and it's just, I don't know. I mean, it takes some getting used to going from a Mustang to something like this, but you know, it's not that I like this car more than the Mustang. It's not that I like the Mustang more than this, because I mean, we all know I love the Mustang way more than I'd ever love this. But with me just now buying a house and me having to move stuff and buy stuff and fit stuff in my trunk and in the back seat, I mean, that's just stuff that you cannot do with a Mustang. It's really good to have a car like this to drive every day, and then to have a Mustang that you drive on the weekend or every now and then. You know what I'm saying? I mean, who knows? This car may end up being a car that I keep and just pay off. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I mean, but at the end of the day, it's been a dang good car. And I mean, look at the taillights on the car. I mean, they do look different. Even though the Fusion body is the same, the taillights are different on every Fusion. I mean, the SCs, they have their own type of taillight. The previous generation SCs, I want to say it was these that would be lit up as the regular lights, and then these that came on as the actual brake light. Your third brake light actually hides right here. So it hides in the top rear windshield. Speaking of trunk space, I'm gonna go ahead and pop the trunk and show you what you're gonna be up against, and we'll wrap this video up here. Yeah, you're gonna get a myriad of space back there. I mean, dude, it is spacious as I don't know what. You can't really see it because it's dark outside, but man, you can fold those rear seats down. And I mean, there's a potential to put more speakers and stuff back here, subwoofers back here. I'm amazed. Your tag lights are not LED on this car like they are on a Mustang. And there goes your famous reverse light. When the vehicle was chiming at me, this is the last thing I'll say, and I'll wrap this video up. I do want to show you how angry and sinister this vehicle looks when you turn the headlights off and you leave nothing but your daytime running lights on, because it's what you're going to see. I mean, just look at how angry it looks. I mean, it's what you're going to see when you remote start this car. When you remote start this car, the only lights that will be on is this strip right here. That's it. No headlights, no fog lights, or nothing. But again, when the vehicle was chirping at me, not like this, but in a much faster pace chirping, you have the ability to say, for whatever reason, this car needed to be towed. I mean, boy, this car looks dang good at night. But say for whatever reason this car needed to be towed. Well, even though it's got this dial shifter, it will try to outsmart you. What do I mean by that? Let me show you. I'm gonna put it in drive. I'm in drive, right? The instant I open this door, you saw that? If you miss shift, let's say you put it into a gear and you haven't decided what to go and it's in the middle of a gear, let's say like drive or something like that, and I try to just, like, let's say I do something like this here. I can't remember how I done it, but either way it go, it would, yeah, you see how it just pops it back into space? That's one of those things. But if you put it in drive and you take your foot off that brake and you open the door, watch, it goes back. So you're not going to be able to tow this car even if you leave it in neutral. You open the door, it's going to park. The way that you do that is, although this button stands for sport mode or shift manually, that is the same exact button you're going to use to put this car into what they call stay in neutral mode. So you put it in neutral, it will pop up select S to confirm stay in neutral mode. So all you do, you hit it once and then twice. Now you can turn the vehicle off, and there goes the fast chirp right there. So yeah, and it will flash at you, stay in neutral mode. When you open the door, it is going to ding like that and sing like that until I don't know what you do to turn it off. But boy, it's one of those things. It's not annoying. I love this noise. I can listen to this noise all day long. Again, those lights up there, LED. You got a space for your glasses. You know, as sports car Mustang owners, we don't have these nice things. You're lit up. And I mean, just all this stuff back here. I'm gonna hop in the back seat right quick. It's gonna sing to me, but you know, we're gonna go back there anyway. Unlock the door. Why are we not rolling? Because I have the brake on. Back seat room. I know that's what y'all been waiting on. But yeah, so I'm sitting beside myself, and I'm basically 6 foot tall, and I've got a pretty decent amount of space. You do get rear vents back here, and you also get this lovely little fold down. Oh, just nice. You cannot access the trunk from here, I don't think. Nope, I can't access the trunk from here. But anyway, again, the seats back here, and your driver and passenger headrests are adjustable. So back, forward, and then you just release. Same thing over here. You know, it's one of those things. Don't forget your famous oh crap handle / dry cleaning clothes hanger, all that good old stuff. Like I said, your rear vents and stuff are back here. I mean, it's just, this car is, wow. I haven't even taken off the plastic from when I bought it almost 10 months ago, and I don't want to, because when I give it back to them, I feel like that's gonna up the value, because eventually I'm gonna get back into a Mustang. You know, I'm gonna leave that on there. Maybe they'll think this car is newer than it is. Anyway, capless fuel door, and that's pretty much it. Now, let me show you those lights. I'm gonna go here. My Forward Pass app isn't working because I'm on a mountain, so I don't have good signal. I'm gonna start it, put it in park, go over here to my headlights. This is the exact same module that's in the Mustang. So You know, your fog lights, your automatic headlights on all the time, your daytime running lights. And then your up and a down adjuster for the brightness for this entire screen right here. Now, yes, that's what you're gonna see. An angry Fusion that just, I don't know what it's so angry at. I don't know if it wants to be a Mustang. It is angry. Somebody has ticked it off. Somebody has crossed it. Somebody has overstepped their boundaries. You have done made it angry. Now, it looks even more sinister when you pop those fog lights on with them. So I'm gonna go in, hit that button. Did I flip them on? There they go. I'm gonna flip this off too, because, you know. So yeah. So yes, it looks a lot more angry with those fog lights on. I mean, it looks like a person. It looks like a beast. I don't know what, I mean, I know it's a Fusion, but I mean, I see personality in cars. I don't know about y'all, but somebody has done rubbed this car the wrong way, and it is coming for your tail. But anyway, this is the 2019 Ford Fusion SE.
You might think it's crazy, but that's just the way that it is. When you on the grind and ain't got enough time for your man, good love it. Quick fix in the bathroom does it. FaceTime for a minute, let you judge it. You the only one to get it in the back of the limousine. I'm so calm, let them see I